So I've been lucky enough to learn from some of the best contest prep coaches in the country. And through this process, I've been able to pick and choose what has really worked and what didn't work so well. And when it didn't work so well, wanting to find a better way. I'm all about optimizing and making things better. And I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly trying to find the best solutions for my clientele. But when it comes to a bodybuilding peak week, there's a lot of taboo out there. There's a lot of stuff out there about like sodium restriction, water restriction, the things that you read on the internet are just way off, guys. But there are these methods. I'd say a bro science method is like sucking salt for 4 days out of your diet. And that's great and all because it's going to shrink your body down and it's going to allow you to release water, but you release water everywhere, subcutaneous and intermuscular, and you shrink down. So an overall philosophy for my peak week is that I want to actually fill you up into your skin, thin out the skin, and the thin skin is what's going to create these really deep striations. And we do this by what? Keeping sodium in your actual peak week. So again, for your muscle to be full, a full muscle, it's going to have sodium, water, and carbohydrates. It's going to have these three things together, and that's what creates the fullness. The glycogen comes from the carbohydrates that you ingest. So you need these three, right? And a lot of times what happens is that we suck, a contest prep coach may suck sodium or suck water away from it, and then the clients can't get a pump the day of the show. And they're flat, and they feel flat, and they don't feel good either. So there's ways around this. And the first way, and really the basis for my peak week is homeostasis. Now homeostasis is the body's ability to regulate normal. So in this sense, we'll start with water. About 3 weeks out or so, I'm going to have you increase your water to 2 gallons. And once we get into peak week, 2.5 gallons. Now that initial increase, homeostasis takes about 48 hours to kick into play. That increase initially up to 2 gallons of water is going to have you hold, your body's going to hold water because it's not used to vacating that much water and you're ingesting so much. Once homeostasis kicks in and it then regulates to this new normal of ingesting 2 gallons of water, then you'll start excreting. Like you're excreting 2 gallons of water, and this is dialysis. And dialysis is a great thing because once you can be consistent with it, and you get into peak week, we go to 2.5, and then you have this dialysis happening where you're peeing constantly, and then you cut it a specific time, typically for me about 18 hours before stage, then your body is going to continue, again homeostasis for 48 hours, continue to excrete water, right? Like you're ingesting 2.5 gallons, but you've stopped. Now, 18 hours before stage, it's really not that much, especially if you compete in the morning. You gotta think about it, you're gonna be asleep, right, for 8 hours, probably less on contest day. So half of this is asleep. And then at this point, we also determine whether a diuretic is being used. I don't always use a diuretic. The problem with diuretics is, and people think that this is the wrong way of thinking, is that when water gets pulled from the body, you hold it 30% subcutaneously, 70% intermuscularly. So when you pull water with a diuretic, it doesn't pull just from the skin. It pulls from the skin and the muscle. So when you shrink down, you're shrinking down, yes, but it's not actually pulling it directly just from the skin, and that's what people think diuretics do. It's funny, when you drink water, the body signals to eradicate or relieve itself by going pee and relieving the water. So why would you cut water, right, and then have the body hold on to water? A lot of times if one of my clients is holding water on a peak week or even the day of the show in between, I have them drink a gallon of water, and then it starts the dialysis again, and they remove the water that's sitting subcutaneously. It's very effective. So sodium, again, you want your sodium to be very consistent. Homeostasis, sodium very consistent. When you reduce your sodium, there is a hormone called aldosterone. Aldosterone's job is to regulate your sodium levels in your blood. And as aldosterone increases in the body, it actually makes a film around your skin and will make you watery. Again, contest prep coaches that do this route of sucking salt will put salt in at the end to try and suck up the aldosterone and create a tight look. Well, it's not necessary. You can just go ahead and keep the sodium in. What happens when you're dehydrated and you go to the ocean? And you get in the ocean, you drink salt water, what happens? It dehydrates you more. So salt actually will make you drier if you use it in the right time and at the right place. For carbohydrates, there is a carb load. You want, again, all these carbohydrates to turn into glycogen into your muscles to create that muscle fullness. Now, you'll have a diet about 2 weeks out at a specific carb level, right? And then once you get into peak week, typically the fill-up day for myself is on a Thursday. And on that day, you're going to ingest 2 to 3 times more carbohydrates than what you've been ingesting. But this isn't a guessing game for me. About 3 weeks out or so, I'll do what's called a clean refeed. And during this clean refeed, I want to see how your body is going to react to the carbohydrates. So by going through a trial run 3 weeks out, which is also very effective in boosting your metabolism and burning more fat afterwards, it gives me a perfect idea of how much I actually need to fill you up with before the show so you don't spill over. Spill over means that you ingest too many carbohydrates and that spills over as water and fat, and then it'll muddle your definition, so you don't want to have that happen. I also do my carb load on a Thursday, so on Friday I can look at your body and figure out whether you can take more carbohydrates, or maybe we need to draw back on the carbs to suck your skin back in if the body is holding water, or even picked up a little bit of fat, which isn't likely. Typically it's going to be the water that's going to be muddling the definition. So all of these things come into peak week, and peak week really is about peaking at the right time with the right amount of dryness that your body needs, with the right amount of fullness that your body needs. And for my peak week, by keeping and centering my peak week around science of homeostasis and centering it around growing into your skin rather than shrinking it down, once you get to the day of the show, you've got water inside of your body, you've got salt inside of your body, you've got carbs inside of your body, and you're just primed to pump. And once you start pumping up, the muscles fill out, stretching out the skin, and then creating the definition you need to achieve your goal on stage.